Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about consulting versus contracting. Right, Aruna, over the last 1 year, we've had a lot of discussions about the two types of work that we do as course creators to generate revenue: consulting and contracting.
Of course. So we first started off at How to CBC with a course, but soon we found that people either couldn't make the dates we were offering the course, or sometimes they wanted more customized offerings than just, the course. So we had to start responding to people's demands by figuring out other blended offerings. And that's how we started having to seriously think about consulting and contracting.
Right. So today, let's talk to our audience about what our current clarity about consulting versus contracting or consulting plus contracting is. And at the end of the video, we should talk about how we're going to continue approaching these two as a team. Right. Let's start off by actually talking, what do we mean when we say consulting, and what do we mean when we say contracting, and what do we like about it and dislike about each?
Cool. So consulting is where we help our clients do their own work. So for example, for course creators, we help them build their own courses. But contracting is where we do all the work for them. In other words, we offer them a finished course that they can go on to teach whoever they want to teach or sell or whatever. So I'll start off by saying what I like about consulting, right? What I like about consulting, as opposed to contrasting, of course, is that I can reach a wider audience. And the reason I say this is because in consulting, the expectation we set, you and I set for our clients, is that we'll work closely with them. They are the subject matter experts. So we'll be working closely with them. And that's why we can reach to a wider audience where we are not expected to be subject matter experts. And I also like this level of close engagement with the course creators that consulting allows us to do. How about you?
So what I like about consulting is that, see, what we currently offer at How to CBC, right, our 2-day course and our 2-week course. I like to think that both fall under the what is broadly known as a category called productized service, whereas consulting is pure service, right? It's not a productized service in any way. And so lessons that we learn doing the grunt work of consulting, of what makes consulting work, the time that we spend with other course creators, is what helps us make better productized services and also like scalable digital micro products. Right. And also consulting brings in a significant amount of revenue, which helps us sustain our operations better. So that's what I like about consulting. What do you dislike about consulting?
Um, I like consulting, right? But what I dislike, or what I would see as a disadvantage, is one thing that you mentioned, is that we have to work one to one. It's not one to many like we do with courses. But another fear I have with consulting, which sometimes may sound irrational to somebody else, but honestly I've had this fear when we started, is that we'll get scooped. What I mean by that is that when I'm consulting, I'm really working behind the scenes with somebody and telling them, you and I are taking them through this process of what the philosophy is, and we're deconstructing the whole process of course creation for them. So sometimes I think that, oh, maybe they just take our secret sauce and run with it, and they'll start consulting. That Yeah, I will say it's slightly rational, but anyway, what do you
Yeah.
dislike about consulting?
So, see, personally, I am, when I do consulting, I am solving problems at the level of an individual course creator. I am personally more excited by problems that surface at a higher scale. If there is a marketplace, the problems that surface in the marketplace, things like that. For example, if I'm building a marketplace or building a software platform for course creators and students, I'm solving problems in the online education space that surface at the level of so many course creators and students. That's what I dislike about consulting in some sense. But moving on to contracting from there, right? For example, what do you like about contracting?
Um, so I think what I like about contracting, maybe to contrast it with my answer for what I dislike about consulting, is that contracting pretty much puts our work in a black box. Like nobody gets to see how we do the work we do. We just provide a finished product and we hand it over to them, and they can do what they will with it. So that kind of there's some fun in that. And also, of course, the insecurity angle is not there. But another thing that I like also about contracting is that it could be really a long engagement. Creating a course is, however long that course is, it's a fairly long engagement. And if people, pay us for that, it actually is a steady source of income for us. So I like both of these things about contracting. How about you? How are you thinking about this?
So there is a big thing that I love about contracting. It's that
Mhm.
it's the closest we get to the pain points of the user. We are actually serving at how to CBC. See, when we help course creators, what do course creators do? They actually go out and build courses. So when we get a contracting assignment and actually building the course, there is so much of learning that I get, right? Because we literally putting ourselves in the shoes of the user that we intend to serve at how to CBC. That's what I love about contracting. Having said that, I'm sure there are a lot of things to dislike about contracting. What do you dislike about contracting?
I, you know, dislike the same thing that I like about it, that perhaps it's too long. So,
Right.
and it's a lot of work, it's a lot of work. And, if it's a subject matter that perhaps I'm not necessarily an expert in, or if it's something that I'm not terribly interested in, it does become grunt work, as you mentioned, right? So that is something I dislike about it. And I genuinely also feel that my audience reach with contracting could get smaller, because if somebody comes to me and says, I want to build a course on coding and I want you to build that course, I may not be the best person to do that, right? Simply because I'm not a coding subject matter expert. And so that limits our audience, I think. And another aspect of contracting that I don't like too much is how it changes the nature of our working relationship. So we start becoming almost each other's managers, and we have to hold each other accountable to deadlines and so on and so forth, to a much greater degree than we do otherwise. you know I think what I mean is that there is more potential for friction with tasks that both of us equally detest.
Right.
And there is no
Yeah.
escaping that by saying, let's do async, or all of the other hacks we have for working with each
True.
other. So it's a small dislike, but it's a real you know uh, cause of
Yeah.
concern that we it's a reality of the work. That's it. How about you?
So when I take up a contracting assignment, see, I am actually leveraging labor. Like you and I are actually going to put in hours and our energy into it. I much rather leverage capital or brand or code or productized services or products. That's the kind of leverage I want. I don't like the idea of billing my time at the rawest level. So that's one thing I don't like about contracting. Also, since there is a personal dislike element in this, I also lack the confidence that I won't be able to do a very good job owing to my my disposition. And I also have a fear that my output wouldn't meet the quality benchmarks that we set for ourselves at how to CBC. And those are the two main reasons, right? Having said all of this, having talked about consulting and contracting so much, right? How do you think we should approach consulting and contracting or versus contracting going forward at how to CBC?
So over the past year, if there's one lesson I've learned, it is that I just have to be completely open. You and I have in the past year been open to the voices of our customers, our audience, and we have navigated this space by listening to their demands and offering ourselves really to them. And I want to continue doing that. And I don't necessarily want very rigid, dogma or principles about what we will do and what we won't do. At the end of the day, I think both you and I are really about serving the customer. And having also had this discussion, the two of us, I recognize both the pitfalls of doing too much of one kind of work, as well as the advantages of doing that kind of work. So striking a balance and continuing to talk to our audience to see how we can truly help them, and maybe even do some partnerships or something that ultimately serves the broader purpose of helping our audience. I think that's where my mind is at.
Right. So it's more like the intent is that, or the approach is that we take it on a case by case basis, where we're choosing to hear out our customers at every stage, but then make a judgment call on whether we want to do it or not. So yeah, we're in that sense we're very open to listening to more customers. And if anybody watching this, you want to reach out to us with the consulting or contracting work, we're very open to hearing you out and deciding if we can best deliver results for you. And with that, I think we come to the end of today's video. See you in the next video.